Right next to the... Oh. Ah! Whew. This is the new Resident Evil. I'm already not okay. I don't really play horror games because I don't like being stressed for no reason. Oh, okay. To me, it looked a bit as if there was something coming. Why are people saying that this one is so good? Like, what is it doing differently?
Because it's not just trying to scare you. This game is designed in a really smart way. It constantly changes how you play, how strong you feel, and even how you approach situations. One moment you are completely helpless. And the next moment, you feel like you're back in control.
Oh, sheesh! Okay!
And then the game will just take this away from you again.
Okay, I'm starting to see that. Great! Love that for me. It sounds a lot like I'm gonna suffer.
Yeah, you will. But that's kind of the point. Just for context, Malina is too scared to play horror games.
Hey, Phasmophobia is a horror game.
That doesn't count. So even for this video, she was not willing to play Resident Evil by herself.
And now you're forcing me or what?
Okay. So I'm Grace.
Yes. You start as Grace. You are weak. You have no resources. Every enemy can actually kill you.
And all of that in first person makes it even harder.
Not harder per se, but it just reinforces your feeling of being vulnerable. You will realize that she has limited resources, so you don't really want to start a fight. You would rather try to escape. And the first person view only enhances that feeling by forcing you to physically check your surroundings all the time, going back and forth. So Resident Evil is not really known for its great storytelling or anything, but I feel like how Grace is written.
Hey, are you with me?
Oh, there might be answers inside.
Yeah, sure, right.
That's actually pretty cool stuff. She gives the player also the feel like I'm not playing a strong person here. I'm not like playing someone who will just kill all monsters in front of me.
Touched up by something.
But Grace is not the only character you can play. There's Leon as well.
Ah, yes. And Leon's gameplay is completely different, right? Okay, but let's be honest. Leon is way too edgy. It was faster, stronger, and when I played him, I wasn't really scared of the zombies anymore. It was actually quite fun to shoot them. And since this is third person, I feel way less isolated than I did with Grace.
But if you're too slow, then somebody else will pick it up.
Fuck, okay, cool.
And you're out of ammo.
Oh my god.
So the strong guns you should use for emergencies. Always make room between you and the zombies.
Yeah.
Also, if you hold still, your aim will become more precise. Reload. Definitely melee attack. Always melee. And now you can use the hatchet. And that's an instant kill. Pick it back up. You got time. Reload. So Resident Evil has this thing with the safe rooms, right? You go through something really intense, high risk. And if you die, you get thrown way back. But once you reach a safe room, it feels amazing. Like you made it. You overcame the challenge and now you are finally safe. At least for a moment.
I'm so tense
But
right
that's
now.
the thing, you have to. Yes.
Okay.
This is exactly what is required. You have to hate it, so you love this moment now. You have to leave your comfort zone to like this current moment. If you don't leave your comfort zone, you will not feel good in this room. You will just not care about this room. Did you save again?
I can't.
But you didn't achieve anything.
Yes, I made it out of
You don't. Yeah, but you have to go back because you don't have the tool yet.
Yeah, but
You will. I'm sure you will regret that you saved now.
Okay.
They kind of do something similar here again, but now they have two different types of gameplay. There is the Grace gameplay, which feels very much like the old traditional Resident Evil games. Same tension, safe rooms, being careful, feeling vulnerable.
And then with Leon's gameplay, it's completely different. I'm actually less scared, and the switch to Leon feels kind of like a relief. After going through so much with Grace, it's refreshing.
Yeah, the Leon gameplay is more like Resident Evil 4. Fast-paced action gameplay.
So when I play as Grace, I feel super weak, careful, very tense. But with the switch to Leon, it's the complete opposite. I suddenly feel strong, just pushing through everything.
And that contrast gives you this relief. And switching back and forth keeps everything fresh.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's actually really smart. And it kind of reminds me of that workshop you did about horror game design.
That a lot of people say like they would never play horror games, and they don't even understand why people play horror games. Because some people have no explanation why some other people would play horror games.
So, horror games actually go super deep into your psyche. Other than typical games that just give you a challenge to complete, horror games make you feel mentally and sometimes even physically unsafe.
Because when I play horror games, since I'm super scared, not only feel mentally unsafe, but also physically. Like, I sit in a dark room and I play a horror game, and if somebody tries to scare me, I genuinely think that there is immediate danger around me.
Yes.
So it's just crazy to imagine how, like what horror games can do to your brain.
Not only horror games, actually, all type of games. They do that to our brain, and they make us feel something very physical. Just we're numb to most of these feelings by now because we have played so many fun games already. Horror games tap into an area we don't tap into so often because we try to avoid it, which is fear and feeling unsafe.
But then they give you a way out. You survive something, reach a safe space, or they switch to a different character like in Requiem here.
Hey, over here.
So it's not that people have fun with horror games because they like being scared. It's more about getting out of the fear.
Yes, it's getting thrown out of your comfort zone and having to adapt to it. Hold on, let me show you something that will explain it better. So, when you play any game, you are usually at the top of human needs in Maslow's pyramid.
Wait, the what now?
The psychological model. At the top, you feel good. All your basic needs are fulfilled. You're confident, successful, everything's fine. But in horror games, they throw you all the way down to the level where you don't feel safe anymore. That's why a lot of people say they don't like to play horror games because it's just uncomfortable. You feel weak, you feel stressed, you feel unsafe. But then you survive. You find a safe room or you switch to Leon. And in that moment, you climb back up. That's why it works. It's not about always being at the top. It's about the difference between being down here and getting back up again.
So the game makes me feel terrible just so that I can feel better after?
Exactly.
That's kinda evil.
That is horror game design for you. Any game does this, by the way. The horror genre is just more extreme. But you see the same psychology in a lot of other games out there. I work a lot on this with my free-to-play clients, for example. Learning how to push players out of their comfort zone and letting them adapt to it is essential for any game designer. That is what makes a game feel satisfying. Oscar, do you actually like horror games? Do you play horror games?
I don't play a lot of horror games. I have played a few. The irony in some ways is that I don't find horror games very frightening. But mostly it's jump shocks that get me. And actually, Doom was the first game that made me jump out of my pants. But what interests me in horror is the contextual challenges.
We're now asking this question, despite the fact that they are actually inducing fear in humans. Something we don't want to have. We really try to get away from fear, obviously. Danger is not good for us. Why can the horror genre still be successful as it is?
I don't agree with that premise. I don't think fear is necessarily bad for us. And actually, I don't even think that horror is aiming to actually truly make us frightened. I think that there's a psychological kind of trick being played back to what makes play. Because play is about us having a set of rules in a context where there is no real world outcome. There's no real world consequence. What is a horror movie? Well, it's about a moment where we can use our mirror neurons to respond to the person on the screen and put ourselves in the position that they're in emotionally and have that jar happen, which is stimulating and exciting and terrifying in the sense of like, if this were real, it would be terrifying, but we know we're safe.
Right.
We know there's not someone behind us with a knife, hopefully.
Take extraction shooters like Ark Raiders or similar games. There's always a risk that you lose your gear. That tension, that fear, and then recovering from it and going again, that is the same principle.
It's the same in Zelda Breath of the Wild, right? You finally found the perfect weapon for yourself. You feel strong and unstoppable, but then it breaks and you have to adapt again.
Yes, in Dark Souls or Elden Ring, for example, both brands I worked on, by the way, you die over and over again, but then you progress.
Isn't this just how life works? You fail first and then you succeed?
Let's wrap up. So, what did we learn now?
That good design isn't about making players feel good all the time,
It's about making them lose control.
so that they can get it back. If you're still watching, you're probably the kind of person these games were made for. And that makes you the perfect fit to be part of our community.
I am Patrick. I have worked on a couple of games that you might know and love. And together with my sister Malena,
We made this YouTube channel
to talk about games on a deeper level.
about why we play certain games
Why we feel the way we feel in games.
and how you can make games that actually become successful.
So, if you don't want to miss out on this opportunity,
Subscribe to our channel. It would mean a lot to us.
and one day, who knows, you might even thank us. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks for watching.
Bye bye.
Love you. Bye. Okay. Stop recording.